Hi, my name is Dani, and I am so glad you are here today. We're going to talk about goal setting. And before we do, I just want to say that I did a previous video about taking a look back at the year in review and how you might do that, looking at your successes, your failures, things that you learned, and things that you're still working on. It's such a good tool because really the whole key, I feel like, to setting goals, to making changes, things like that, one of the big keys is self-knowledge, like knowing yourself, your own weaknesses, your own tendencies, so that you can create systems for yourself that help you compensate for your weaknesses and take advantage of your strengths and just reinforce everything that you need. So I will put a link in the description for that video if you're interested. And then today we're going to talk about goals. There are so many different methodologies and ways of doing goals. I do different ones all the time. And this year I've come up with kind of just a combination of different systems and kind of putting them together. So we'll see how it works. I'll do another evaluation of it probably in May or June, and we'll see how it's going. But I want to go through some of the things that I do today. You can share yours if you are interested. I would love to have a conversation, maybe even do a YouTube live where we can just kind of talk and interact. This is just one of the things that is so important because I'm always reminded of that Harvard study. I think it's probably everybody knows about it by now, but there was a group of Harvard MBAs, right? And so they studied them over many years. And they found that of the Harvard MBAs, all who graduated, the top 3% who, not the top 3%, but the 3% of those graduates who wrote down their goals were 10 times more successful, and they're measuring success in terms of dollars because you're an MBA, you're graduating from Harvard, it's measurable, so what else are they going to do? They had 10 times more financial success than the other 97% of the graduates. So you're already talking about people who kind of have their stuff together mostly, right? But 97% were 10 times less than those 3% who wrote their goals down. Ever since I heard that stat, and it's been years now, I have been just kind of a nut for writing down my goals. And sometimes I can tell what a great difference it makes. Other times I can't, but whatever. I'm really into it this year because I'm doing this big new push, and really starting a bunch of new things in life. So maybe you are too. So here's what I like to look at as far as goal setting. There's a bunch of different methodologies, right? And maybe you have your favorite ones. So you're like, I really need to be direct. Goals, how often have we heard of SMART goals? They're, what is SMART? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic and relevant, time sensitive, and that just isn't very inspiring to me. It's like, okay, SMART goals, like, what do you really think you can do? A big part of looking forward at the new year is starting with a vision, starting with a dream, starting with like, what do you really, really, really want? Like, if you knew you couldn't fail, if you knew you could have anything, what would you actually want? What would you actually want if you could take off the blinders to what you just think is possible, what you think is specific, what you think you can definitely do, and set the bar pretty low? Again, I'm kind of bashing on SMART goals. They do have a place. I'll get to that. But for me, they're just not very inspiring. And for everything, I'm a very passionate person. Maybe you are too, but I have to have a big vision. I have to have a big goal that kind of motivates me and keeps me going and inspires me when things get hard. And also that I can visualize, that I can play with, that I can, go through the feelings of feeling all the feelings of having it already. Like, those things are so great. So when I start my new year, I start with a vision. And I have gone through all different kinds of methodologies as far as, do I want to be specific with my vision? Do I want to be really general with my vision? I went through a couple of years a while ago where I only put feelings and not specific things that I wanted to accomplish, because the thinking is, of course, anything that you want to accomplish or have or do is only because you feel like, because in the having of it, you will feel a certain way. So the most direct line is just to say, well, this is how I want to feel, and then kind of let the universe kind of take that and make it something great. Well, for me, I need a balance of the big vision, the improbable stuff, the dreamy stuff, and then the practical stuff. I have to have a balance, and that's what I'm discovering about myself. Because in years past, I have been too into the just be in flow, be guided in the moment. For me, I have to have a certain amount of that, but I also have to have discipline, and I have to have the structure. So my methodology for doing the year-end goals, doing the new year goals, is this. You start with that vision. It can be as specific or as general as you want. Mine's kind of a combination. It's a lot of the feelings and everything, but this year, it's really about this big balance between security and freedom. Right? Because I want both. I want security and I want freedom. And so those are such weird things to think about balancing. Like it messes with my head. I don't think they're really either or, but I do think it's like the yin and the yang, too much of one, not enough of the other. For right now, for this past year, what I can see is I have way too much constriction and things that have to's, and not enough freedom. So for 2021, I wanted to go like all out freedom. But then what I realized about myself is in order to have that freedom and that true freedom of mind, and not to have to worry about things and not be in a place of concern and worry and anxiety, I need to have some security too. And for me, security is money. Security is mostly money, because when you have lived near poverty or close to poverty, or just paycheck to paycheck, and those kinds of things, it really brings home to you what would happen if an emergency came up. I need to be prepared. I need to have all of that put in place in case there's an emergency, in case, heaven forbid, something drastic happens. I need to have this money in the bank. That's the freedom. That's the security. That's the safety net. Is that for me right now? Okay, so part of it anyway. So this year is about balancing the freedom and the security and building more of each of them. Right now I have more security and a whole lot less freedom. And for all of us, I feel like in 2020, it hasn't necessarily been the year of freedom for a whole lot of people. I won't go down that road too much. I think for people who are in certain socioeconomic places, and I think for the very rich, it might have been for a lot of them, and there are a lot of indications that it was a very good year. But for people who are working for a living, paycheck to paycheck, on the line, on the border at all, it's been very, very, very difficult. So, and a lot of people have it a lot worse than me, and I'm very aware of that. So what I'm saying is that I have to have like a vision. I have to have something motivating, something that's not like I know for sure I can achieve it, but yet something that inspires me to move toward. Okay, so I start with a vision, big goals. Then I work on, okay, so in life coach training, I think this came from Martha Beck, but it may have come from, she may have gotten it from somewhere else. I'm not sure, but I think it's Martha Beck. It's WIGs, W-I-G-S. Instead of SMART goals, it's a WIG. A WIG is a wildly improbable goal. So it's like, this probably won't happen, but wouldn't it be amazing? So this is also very inspiring, and it's very just kind of lifts your energy just to think about it, to think about possibility. Because here's what I know too, is like, I don't know how all of this works. People talk about law of attraction, people talk about how the universe works, and it always kind of sort of cracks me up when people talk about it like they know for sure exactly how it works, because none of us really does, but we can look at some evidence and where it's starting to point. We have barely scratched the surface of trying to understand. But what I do believe, at least for me at this point, is there's a certain amount of work, there's a certain amount of control, there's a certain amount of creative power that I have that's in my control. And it is from me putting forth the effort, my timing, my rationale, my hard work, everything I can put into it and bringing that to fruition. There's also another part that is kind of the magic of the universe. Call it God, call it the universe, call it the force. I'm a Star Wars fan, right? Like, so call it the force, that energy field that connects all living things. Call it the field of unlimited possibility. Call it whatever you want. Call it your higher self. But there is a part that is somehow working together in the bigger picture, putting all of us, all of these complicated things together in such a way where it's all kind of working together for good, I hope. I don't know that, but I believe that at this point. And I say that kind of shaky, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of believe that. I want to believe that. It's hard when you see people suffering and you see everything that goes on to really hold that. But I do, but part of me really believes that. So we're moving on. So wildly improbable goal, again, very inspiring. This probably won't happen, but what if I could do this, this, and this all by April 1st or all by June 1st or whatever? So for me, it's like I've had a very clear vision of what I want, but for me, the timetable keeps moving up. Like originally I was like, oh, I'll take a couple of years and I'll do this and this and this. And now I'm like, well, why can't I just do it now? So I'm getting impatient. But anyway, so here's where this comes in. We have our vision, like the big part of it is the vision. And then you have your WIGs, your wildly improbable goals or goal, set 1 to 3, just kind of very inspiring. And then third is the SMART goals. It is the meat and potatoes of, for me, what I do with SMART goals is these are the behaviors, these are the action steps, these are my part to play. This is how I'm going to try to make it happen, leaving room for the magic of the universe or whatever that is to kind of bring things, leaving room for, I'm going to visualize and play with that and feel the feelings and do all of that law of attraction type of stuff because it feels good and because it's fun and because it seems to help and it's definitely not hurting, right? So that's the way I kind of look at it right now. But so then the specific goals come in. And for me, I really started with Steven Pressfield's The War of Art and kind of how he lays it out. And what he lays out is just a timetable. Like I have a weekly schedule. I have not been great about sticking to it. For the first month or so that I was doing it, I was all over it, but even extra because I was so excited and passionate. I kept working hours beyond when I was scheduled to. And then over these last couple weeks with the holidays and everything, I've been much more slack and haven't been doing it. Now, so here's how I do it. I set these goals for during this time frame, I will work on this X, whether it's YouTube, secondary income, my house and my home responsibilities and maintenance and errands for the house, my family time with my kids. So I have these boxes allotted along with some free time every day. And so my commitment is I'm going to work on this stuff, and I have a to-do list for every area of my life. I'm going to work on this stuff during this time, whether I feel like it or not, whether I have resistance or not, no matter what else is going on or not. this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm committed to. Along with that, I have some minimums of I want to do 3 YouTube videos a week. I want to do this many t-shirt designs a week. I may have mentioned I'm starting an Etsy store, I think. So I want to do this much. I want to find out, I want to learn how to do these things. And then I want to design this many t-shirts by the end of the year, or the beginning, the first week of the year or whatever. And I want to do this. So I have these minimums. They're very much SMART goals because they are definitely, excuse me, they are definitely specific, and they are attainable, and they're relevant. So, but these SMART goals are just taking me down the road. They are putting me on the path to achieve my goals. They're doing the work I need to do to move forward and do this stuff. So that is good. That's my role. That's what I'm going to do to bring about my goals. And my goals might have whatever kind of time frame. I would love to have it by this year, or maybe it's next year, but these are the action steps that are going to take me there. Those are my SMART goals. That's what I'm setting to. Because if it's all only the lofty stuff, if you're like me, then there's no discipline or anything to actually do the work to get it done. So for me, I have to have both. I have to have something that's really inspiring and also something that's really specific that's going to hold me accountable so that I actually do the work. So that is my goal setting for this year, for heading into 2021. We'll see how it goes. I would love to hear about your goal setting. What are you doing? What has worked for you in the past? What do you love? What do you hate? And if you want to, tell me one of your WIGs. Tell me one of your SMART goals. Share anything you want. If you like this video, please like it. And if you love it, then subscribe and hit the bell. And if you think you know someone else who might love it, then you can share. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.